Forget everything you've seen in a museum. Forget the gentle, smiling figures with delicate white wings and the chubby babies playing harps on clouds. The beings the Bible actually described as angels aren't here to make you feel comfortable. They are cosmic forces, otherworldly horrors, and agents of such divine power that their very appearance could shatter the human mind. The most common phrase an angel says in the Bible isn't "peace be with you," it's "be not afraid." And trust me, there's a very good reason for that. We've all been handed a sanitized, softened image of angels, one that's designed to be palatable and reassuring. But the ancient texts, they tell a very different story. They describe creatures of fire and lightning, of countless eyes and shifting faces, beings whose job wasn't to soothe, but to serve a power that is both awesome and terrifying. Today, we're peeling back the layers of art and tradition to see what the scriptures actually say. We are counting down the 7 most terrifying angels in the Bible, from the bizarre guardians of God's throne to the remorseless executioners of divine judgment. These are the creatures that will actually give you nightmares. The Cherubim. Kicking off our list at number 7 are the Cherubim. Now, if you hear the word cherub, you probably picture a cute, chubby-cheeked baby with tiny wings, basically Cupid. That image is a holdover from Renaissance art, and it could not be more wrong. The biblical cherubim are guardians of immense and terrifying power. They show up for the first time in Genesis, where they're placed at the east of the Garden of Eden to block humanity's path back to the Tree of Life. And they don't just stand there. They do it with a flaming sword flashing back and forth. This isn't a gentle suggestion to stay away. It's a lethal barrier of divine fire, manned by something beyond our understanding. But it's the prophet Ezekiel's vision that gives us the most nightmare-inducing description. He describes them as living creatures that look vaguely human, but each one has 4 faces: the face of a man, a lion, an ox, and an eagle. Imagine something looking at you with 4 different sets of eyes, each one representing a different aspect of creation. Their bodies and their 4 wings are covered, top to bottom, with eyes. They move like bolts of lightning, and the sound of their wings is like the voice of God Himself. The cherubim aren't here to be cute. They are living symbols of God's all-seeing power, divine sentinels whose very form declares that some places are just too holy or too dangerous for mortal eyes. The seraphim. Coming in at number 6 are the seraphim. The name itself means the burning ones, and that's exactly what they are. Beings of pure, cleansing fire. Our only real description of them comes from the prophet Isaiah's vision, and frankly, it's profoundly unsettling. Isaiah sees the throne of God, and flying above it are the seraphim. Each one has 6 wings, and they use them in a very specific and unnerving way. With 2 wings, they cover their faces, because not even they can look directly at the unfiltered glory of God. With 2 wings, they cover their feet, a sign of humility. And with the final 2, they fly, endlessly circling the throne and crying out, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty. The whole earth is full of His glory." Their voices are so powerful they make the foundations of the temple itself shake. But their terrifying nature isn't just in how they look, it's what they do. Overwhelmed by this vision, Isaiah cries out that he is a sinful man with unclean lips. So what does a seraph do? It flies to the altar, picks up a live, burning coal with a pair of tongs, and presses it directly to Isaiah's mouth. The act is meant to purify him, but imagine the sheer terror of that moment. A fiery, 6-winged being searing your lips with a hot coal from a divine fire. The seraphim are a living embodiment of purification by fire, a reminder that getting close to the divine is both glorious and terrifyingly painful. The Ofanim. At number 5, we shift from the terrifyingly alive to the terrifyingly alien. These are the Ofanim, better known as the wheels. Of all the angelic beings in the Bible, the Ofanim are probably the most bizarre and Lovecraftian. completely shattering our expectations of what a living being should even look like. They appear in the same vision from Ezekiel that gave us the cherubim, and they actually form the chariot of God. Ezekiel describes them as wheels within wheels, intersecting at right angles so they can move in any direction without ever turning. They glow with a terrifying light, sparkling like a precious stone. And here's the detail that pushes them right into nightmare fuel. Their rims are massive, awe-inspiring, and covered all around with countless eyes. The Ofanim are never still. They are in constant, unnerving motion, moving in perfect sync with the four-faced cherubim because, as the text says, the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. These aren't just objects, they're intelligent, all-seeing entities. Their job is to carry the throne of God, but their appearance just screams cosmic horror. They aren't biological. They aren't humanoid. They are a living, mechanical, all-seeing geometry of divine power, a terrifying glimpse into just how alien the divine realm really is. The Angel of Death. For our fourth most terrifying angel, we're moving away from unsettling appearances and focusing on horrifying actions. This is the angel responsible for the 10th plague of Egypt, an entity often just called the Angel of Death. Unlike the others, this being isn't given a detailed physical description. It doesn't need one. Its terror comes from its absolute, unstoppable mission. The story from the book of Exodus is one of the most chilling in the Old Testament. As the final plague against the defiant Pharaoh, God sends a destroyer through Egypt. This entity has a single, terrifying job: to kill the firstborn son of every single household. Just imagine the slow, creeping horror of that night. An invisible, silent force moving street by street, house by house, passing through walls and locked doors. You couldn't see it. You couldn't fight it. The only defense was the blood of a lamb painted on your doorpost, a sign that told the destroyer to pass over your home. In a single night, this one being carried out a judgment that struck every family in an entire nation, from the son of the Pharaoh on his throne to the son of the slave in the dungeon. The Bible says that on that night, a loud cry rose from Egypt, for there was not a house without someone dead. The terror of this angel isn't what it looks like, but what it does. It's a perfect, dispassionate instrument of divine wrath. The destroying angel. If the angel of Passover was a precision strike, our number 3 entry is a weapon of mass destruction. This is the destroying angel, a being, or maybe a class of being, sent out multiple times in the Bible to execute judgment on a massive scale. In one of the most harrowing accounts, from the book of 2 Samuel, King David angers God by taking a census of Israel. As punishment, God sends an angel to unleash a plague. In just a short time, this one being kills 70,000 people. David eventually sees the angel for himself, standing near Jerusalem with its hand stretched out, ready to destroy the city. Only his desperate plea for mercy causes God to call the angel off. But maybe the most stunning display of this angel's power comes from the book of 2 Kings. The Assyrian army, a massive force of 185,000 soldiers, is camped outside Jerusalem, ready to conquer it. That night, a single angel of the Lord moves through the Assyrian camp. The next morning, the people of Jerusalem wake up to find 185,000 corpses. An entire army, completely wiped out in a single night by one angelic being. This angel represents the military might of heaven. It isn't a messenger, it's a soldier. It doesn't negotiate, it annihilates. The angels of the apocalypse. At number 2, we go from single destroyers to an entire squadron of them. The angels of the apocalypse from the book of Revelation. When the end of the world arrives in the Bible, it's not a quiet affair. It's a series of escalating, world-shattering disasters, and each one is unleashed by an angel carrying out a direct order. The book describes 7 angels who are given 7 golden bowls filled with the wrath of God. They pour these bowls out onto the earth, and the results are catastrophic. The first angel pours his bowl, and painful sores break out on all the followers of the Antichrist. The second pours his bowl into the sea, and every single living thing in the ocean dies. The third turns all the rivers and springs into blood. The fourth angel gets the power to scorch people with intense heat from the sun. Others unleash total darkness, unbearable pain, and gather the world's armies for the final battle at Armageddon. These angels are the literal harbingers of the end. They aren't just judging humanity. They are actively unmaking the world. They poison the water, scorch the sky, and unleash plagues that make the horrors in Egypt look small. As the Gospel of Matthew says, at the end of time, angels will be the ones to separate the wicked from the righteous and cast them into the fiery furnace, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. They are the final, terrifying agents of a judgment that will swallow the entire world. And now, for our number one most terrifying angel, we have to step just outside the traditional Bible into the ancient and highly influential Book of Enoch. This is where we meet a group of angels whose story is perhaps the most tragic and horrifying of all: the Watchers. According to Enoch, the Watchers were a high order of angels sent to earth to simply watch over humanity. But as they observed us, they became consumed with lust for human women. Led by an angel named Semyaza, 200 of these Watchers made a pact. They came down to earth, took human wives, and in the process taught humanity forbidden knowledge. This wasn't just simple disobedience. It was the ultimate corruption. They taught humans how to make weapons and wage war. They taught sorcery and other dark arts that led to unbelievable violence and sin. Even worse, their union with human women produced monstrous offspring, the Nephilim, giants who devoured everything in their path and eventually turned on humanity itself. The world became so corrupt that it was this single act, the rebellion of the Watchers and the chaos they unleashed, that directly led to God's decision to cleanse the entire earth with the Great Flood. The terror of the Watchers comes from two places. First, the horror of their betrayal, celestial beings created to guide us, who instead chose to corrupt and destroy. But the second terror is their punishment. They are rounded up by the archangels, bound in chains, and cast into an abyss of total darkness, to be tortured until the final judgment. They're a terrifying cautionary tale of how even the highest angels can fall and drag the entire world down with them. From the four-faced guardians of Eden to the cosmic, eye-covered wheels of God's chariot. From the silent killer in Egypt to the fallen angels who corrupted all of mankind, it is incredibly clear that the biblical idea of an angel is a far cry from the gentle figures we know today. These beings were never meant to be just comforting. They are reflections of a divine power that is vast, alien, and completely beyond our comprehension. Their true forms were meant to inspire not just faith, but awe, and yes, even terror. They're a stark reminder that the forces at work in the cosmos are infinitely more complex and frightening than we can possibly imagine. So, which of these biblically accurate angels did you find the most terrifying? Was it the bizarre, all-seeing wheels of the Ofanim, or the sheer destructive power of the destroying angel? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you enjoy diving into the dark and mysterious corners of mythology and ancient texts, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss what we explore next. Thanks for watching.